Alright guys, we're back and today we're going to throw some accessories on the Canik Mete mc9 Prime, so let's jump into it. So if you guys watched my last video, you know I bought this thing the first day it was available to the public. I picked this up, had it shipped in, and I'm really excited to get this to the range. But before we do that, I got some accessories we're gonna throw on this, so let me show you what I got. So this gun is perfect to be an everyday carry, and that's how I'm gonna set this up, and that's the reason I chose these products. So first off, I got the Streamlight TLR7 HLX sub. Now this is a little different than the normal TLR7 sub, and I'll show you that once we jump over to the bench. Then I'm also gonna be putting on the Holosun EPS carry. This is an enclosed red dot sight. Awesome for everyday carry. Again, I'll show you some of this once we jump over to the bench. But I think a weapon light and a red dot optic are must-haves. And these might be the only upgrades I make to this other than finding a holster for it, because this thing from the factory is set up with pretty much everything anyone would want. So let's jump over to the bench. I'll unbox these, show you guys what this all entails, and give you some specifics on them. We'll get them installed, and then we'll hit the range and see how this thing does. All right, first up is the Streamlight TLR7 HLX sub. This is an upgraded version of the regular TLR7 sub. The difference is this comes with a rechargeable battery, which is something that everybody wants, I think. You can just open up this front cap, pop that battery out. It's got a USB rechargeable port right there. Plug that in, you can recharge as many times as you want. The HLX sub will fit in the same holsters as the normal TLR7 sub. It's the same footprint, so it'll fit those holsters, which is nice. This comes with a charging cable, comes with some different Picatinny keys, a little tool, and the low mount activation switches. So you can either run these ones that come on it or the low mount that drops it down a little bit. Comes with some literature and stuff like that. So that's the weapon light that we're gonna be throwing on this. Another difference is that this is 1,000 lumens versus the 500 lumens, which is what the normal TLR7 sub has. And this has 10,000 candela. So this is a very bright light. Awesome for such a small compact package. And I think that'll fit nice on there and look great. And I'm sure in the near future, holsters are gonna be everywhere for this setup. Now the EPS carry is the red dot that I chose. These are an awesome option for an everyday carry style gun because this is an enclosed optic. So it comes with a little cleaning cloth, some literature, pull this stuff out, and it's got the sight itself. So this is the EPS carry, which is a smaller version. They also have the regular EPS, which is a fuller size version. They both have the same footprint. As you can see, there's a pane of glass on the front and on the back. The emitter is sandwiched in between them, so you can't get dirt or dust or lint or moisture or anything like that down in there to distort that sight picture. This has an external battery tray. It's also got the famous Holosun solar panel on top to run off solar power if you're out in the sunlight. It has a backup iron sight built into the back of it. It comes with an adapter plate. It comes with a little tool and then screws. This is one gripe that I have with red dot manufacturers. They send screws in these little bags just like this. You don't know what screws these are. I read through this literature book. There's no information on what size these screws are. The only mention of screw size is to screw that adapter plate down. That's the only screw size that it shows in this whole book. So to get this mounted up, you're just eyeballing these, hoping you open the right package. And for a guy like me that does this quite a bit, I have a ton of just random screws everywhere because I've opened up these packages to try them to see if they fit. That's a pain in the butt. Like this one, I opened this up, tried those, see if they fit. They didn't fit. These are the ones that are going to work for me. I really do wish that manufacturers would label the bag so it tells you what size the screw is. The only company that I've found that does that is O-Sight, and they ship their screws just like this in these little boxes. So they've got screws labeled what size they are in a nice storage container. So the ones you don't use, they're stored in a nice safe place. You're not going to lose them. Whereas these little screws, when you open them up, who knows where they're going to go. But that's one gripe that I have with optics companies. They don't label the bags with screws. They don't actually tell you what size they are in the literature that comes with it. I don't know, little stuff like that just drives me nuts with these optics. Now, if you saw my first video on this Canik, kind of an unboxing overview of it, I showed you that it came in this box and it has this little replica gun that houses optic screws, little torque spits, things like that. So I went through the owner's manual, double check, see if the optic screws I needed to use were in here or if I needed to use the manufacturer's. The screws in here are only for the Canik branded red dots. If you can see on here, this Holosun, where those screws go, they take a tapered screw to lock that down. The screws that come in the Canik box aren't tapered. they use a screw with a little lock washer thing. So I'm going to use the factory screws that came with the Holosun. One little thing that I learned, I thought this was just a little replica gun that held all the screws and stuff, but this is actually a tool. You put your little bits in here for screwing and unscrewing your screws, which is kind of cool. Now, granted, this isn't the best tool for the job, but I thought that was kind of a unique way to store your optic screws, your Torx drivers, and have a tool all in one. So I'm going to pull this cover plate off quick. I'll show you what it looks like, and then we'll get this Holosun mounted up. So that's what the underside of that cover plate looks like. Got a couple different screw holes. There's no recoil lugs on here. These back screw holes are raised a bit. Those will act as recoil lugs. Now on the bottom of that Holosun, there's multiple places to index recoil lugs, as well as the screw holes. The holes through this will fit right over those posts that are built into the slide. And that's the way I'm going to run this. Now a lot of guys are going to say, well, you need those recoil lugs so your optic doesn't come loose. Now I could use this adapter plate. That will fit on there just fine. It sits right over the top of those. Those are down below flush. And this plate has 2 recoil lugs in the front and 2 right here on the side, small ones. And I could mount that just like that on there. You could still co-witness, that's like a third co-witness with that plate, but that's not how I'm going to mount it. I'm going to mount this flush to the slide so that sits lower. I get 100% co-witness with these factory night vision sights, and that's not going to go anywhere. These lugs that stick up index perfectly in those holes. Will take any of the force from this reciprocating. 2, this optic fits perfectly in this cut. There's not a gap in the back or the front. It fits perfectly in that cut. Once I tighten this down, that thing's not going anywhere. There's no place for it to go, and it's gonna sit lower and give me that 100% co-witness with these factory sights. So that's the way I'm gonna go. I'm gonna clean up some of these screws and get this mounted on here. And if I didn't mention, like with all my videos, I will have a build list for this. That'll be the first link in the description, or you can scan the QR code where I'll have all the parts and pieces that I'm using, any tools, anything like that that you see. I'll have all that over the build list. I'll also have a link for the Ballistically Challenge merchandise. So if you guys want to go pick up a hat or a t-shirt, help support the channel, that'd be awesome. But let's get going on installing this stuff. So that's a quick and easy project. Again, I use the screws that came with that Holosun. Just take some trial fitting to make sure they thread into that slide. This EPS carry is the one with the multi-reticle. So it has a dot, a circle, or a circle and a dot at the same time. And then the TLR7 HLX sub, that's rechargeable. 1,000 lumens, 10,000 candela. I think this is going to be an awesome setup. To torque that red dot down, I just use my fat wrench. This is an inch-pound wrench. I'll make sure and have a link for this over there at the build list as well. But this is very handy for installing stuff like this that you need to know what it's torqued down to. So let's jump back up off the bench. We'll cover a couple things and then we're gonna go hit the range. All right, I got that stuff installed. I think that's a pretty good looking setup with that Holosun EPS carry and that Streamlight weapon light.
It's pretty cool, I guess.
Again, the next thing I'm gonna do is be looking for a holster for this, because that's one thing that I do need for this. Probably one of each, an inside the waistband and an outside the waistband. So I can carry this in any situation, but let me show you how this turned out. So this gun is empty. For all those guys in the comments saying I'm flagging my face or something, this gun is empty. Nothing in it. Here's what the co-witness looks like with those factory sights. I don't know if you can see that front sight post through there, but that's 100% co-witness with that red dot on there, which is nice. These sights are the night vision night sights with tritium in them that glow really bright in the dark, and that optic fits on there just perfectly. I know some guys will ask in the comments, there is the slightest little bit of overhang right there. It's not bad. I don't think that'll be an issue at all. And then the TLR7 HLX sub, this is the 1913 version. That went on perfectly. I think where those paddles are placed, the high activation paddles, I think those will be perfect. Now that I got these few accessories on here that I'm gonna put on this gun, I think it's time we hit the range, get the first shots through the Canik Mete mc9 Prime, and see how this thing handles. All right, we're out here with the Canik Mete mc9 Prime. These are gonna be the first shots through this. Run it through its paces, make sure it functions properly, and see how this comp does that comes on it from the factory. So this is running awesome. It runs perfectly. That trigger is really nice on here. I do like that Canik put the upgraded trigger on this. And I do think those ports help compared to other guns of this size that are a little bit snappier. So we're gonna throw a few more rounds through this. Hopefully get about 100 through it today. So that is the Canik Mete mc9 Prime. That was the first range trip I've had this out. And before we go into the recap, just a reminder you guys, go subscribe to the channel. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. I know you're watching. Go subscribe to the channel. Also, that first link in the description will take you to my website. It has all the products and anything that we use in the videos, whether it's red dots or tools or targets or anything like that. Go check that out. It'll also be the QR code up here. You can scan if you're watching on a TV or whatever. Over there on my website, I have Ballistically challenged merchandise as well. If you guys want to pick up a hat or a t-shirt, help support the channel, that'd be awesome. But let's recap the first range trip with the Canik Prime. I had 0 issues. Like I mentioned, I put about 100 rounds through it. No failure to feeds, no stovepipes, nothing like that. It ran perfectly. I love the EPS carry. They're one of my favorite enclosed red dots. It's always crisp and bright. And I think they zero these at 25 yards or something like that right from the factory. So it shot perfect. It co-witnesses with these factory night vision night sights that are on here. The factory porting on this barrel and slide worked perfectly. I think that helped mitigate some of that snappiness that you tend to get with a smaller framed handgun like this. So I'm really liking that. There wasn't anything that was uncomfortable for me. Grip, hand placement, trigger, anything like that. Nothing was uncomfortable for me. And then that trigger. This has got to be one of the best factory triggers that comes in a handgun. This thing feels awesome. Nice and tactile. That reset is crisp. You can hear it. You can feel it. It's pulling right around a 4-pound trigger. So I think that is awesome as well. I'm really liking how this turned out. I love the upgrades that I did to it with that red dot and that weapon light. This is definitely going to go in my everyday carry rotation once I get a few more rounds through it. Now the next step with this is to find a holster for it. So I'm going to be on the lookout for a holster because I definitely want to start carrying this gun. But I appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that thumbs up button, and we'll check you guys on the next one.